Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this. Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have two persons, two of my friends. We're going to speak about should I change for my spouse? It's a topic that persons have been asking me to speak about. And, I was ifing and butting about the situation, but why not? It's Unfiltered by Jade, so why not talk about something that people want to talk about, right? So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Hi, guys.
Hi. Who should go first?
You can. Anybody. Ramani, you want to go first?
Sure, no problem. I'm Ramani. I'm from Jamaica, local girl. Love God, love my friends, love my family. I'm currently working as a student relations officer at the university here.
Whoop, whoop. Okay. Adrian?
My name is Adrian. I'm from Jamaica, but living in the US, living in Texas. I'm currently an aircraft structural engineer for the US Army, and that's it.
Very good. All right, and my name is Jade, so let's jump right into it. So, what does change mean to you? And we're talking about in a relationship setting. What does change mean to you?
All right, if I may, Jade.
Go right ahead.
All right, so change to me is basically adjusting for a better outcome or for your personal development. And it's also compromising in a relationship for a win-win situation and sometimes a win-lose situation, depending on what it is. That's what changes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Adrian?
Change for me is kind of like an arbitrary thing. Is that really good or bad? It depends on who's on the receiving end of said change. So it's basically just different. Like if you're used to one thing, the change will make it different. So it's kind of a simple thing, but that's what it is to me.
Okay. Do men and women see change differently?
It's possible.
Go on.
It's possible. I mean, men and women see the world differently, and it's a possibility that they could also see change differently. However, I strongly believe that if it's in a partnership, it all boils down to common goals, values, and morals, which could be the determining factor as to whether or not both parties see change differently or similarly.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes it's not so much as who sees the change differently, but it's a better question is who adapts better to the change.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's
yeah. That's a good question, and I think that's a good question. Is change a bad thing?
Ramani, you want to go?
All right, sure. The thing is that change will happen naturally throughout the course of anyone's relationship, and then there are other changes that will be harder for both parties or one party. I believe change is good when you're making personal adjustments, whether temporarily or permanently, for a positive result or outcome. And it may also be good when there's a compromise for amicability, peace of mind, and a positive turnout. And then change can be bad too, because sometimes you end up betraying who you are at the core, based on your values, your norms, your morals. And if that change leaves you feeling no sense of fulfillment and unhappy, then I would classify that change as bad.
Yeah, that's true. And if I may just add to that, as I said earlier, it really depends on who's on the receiving end of the change, right? It can also depend on whether or not the change is gradual or if it's sudden, because a sudden change would yield a different reaction than a gradual one. Because you have time to ease into it, and you understand what I'm saying?
As you say about having the time to ease into it, suppose it is that you're into a relationship and you don't have that time. As in, you go into the relationship, and as on the instead of being in that relationship, you're hearing, I don't like how you dress. I don't like your weight. I don't like that your teeth don't look a particular way. You need to change these right now. Do you think that is okay? Just entering something is not no gradual change. So as I meet the man are gonna tell me, say, I need to change these things about myself.
Yeah, but that's why courtship is important, because that's the trial and error period. Because all of those things that most of those things that you listed earlier those questions would have been asked while you're courting the person, while you're dating a person. You would realize, oh, all right, this is the way she dresses. Am I okay with this? Is this something that I'm willing to live with for the rest of my life? Like, all these questions is what you have to ask during courtship before you make that plunge into a relationship.
Can I say that doesn't always happen in terms of when it is that you're courting? Some people can court and they dress a particular way, and as they get married, they're expected to change.
Yes, you're right, but it's a tricky situation when marriage comes into play, because there's something I want to get into after, like further down in one of the questions, but continue.
Mm-hmm. It's that for me is a tricky thing, but yeah, we'll go into it. What are some absolutes not? We're not changing it.
Absolutes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let me start. So some absolutes that we can have is religion. We're not changing on my religious beliefs, right? Mm-hmm. Some absolutes can be, well, for some people want to homeschool their children. Some people don't want to homeschool their children. So those are some absolutes for the relationship. Some absolutes for body type is, if it is that I want you to go natural. You have been cream all your life now. The person met your cream here, and the person going to tell you, say, no, you have to be natural. Those are some absolutes not going to happen. If it is that I don't want to change it, somebody can't be forcing you to change those things. Career choices, the person all of a sudden don't like your career choice. I don't want you to do this. Things like those. You're absolutely not going to change it for somebody, but you would change it for yourself if that's what you want. So what are your absolutes that you're not changing?
My absolute.
I'm kind of
go on.
Well, I'm on the same page as Jade. I mean, you can't ask me. There are certain things you just can't ask somebody to change. Well, at least for me, you can't ask me. I will come into the relationship. My hair is cream, and then they're going to tell me, "Oh, I should go natural because this is what you believe. I know how you were growing up with your family and your church and whatever." Trying to sway my belief in God, that's an absolute not. And this is why it's so important from the beginning of the relationship to ensure that you're equally yoked, because if you're not, it could cause problems further down in the relationship. Absolute not for me too is telling me as a working woman that you want me to stay home, to be a stay at home.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
As much as I would like to spend a lot of time with my family, that alone would not give me the kind of challenge I'm looking for. And I'm a person who likes to be challenged on a whole, and I believe that going out and putting my skills into other things and investing in others is a core part of who I am. And so therefore, that's an absolute not. You can't ask me to be a stay-at-home or stay-at-home wife. Not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, for me,
if it is that, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's more complacency. Like, don't stop doing the things that you know that I like just because in quote unquote you feel your reach. You get me? Still keep up with me in terms of finances. Still keep up with me in terms of how you look. Like, all of those things. Don't get complacent. I hate complacency. Still try to be better at what you do. But you Ramane touched on something I wanted to get into, to be honest with you. You were saying that don't ask them to change your faith, and I completely agree. But there's a flip side to that coin. What if both of us came in this relationship having similar worldviews and everything, and then during the marriage, like halfway through the marriage, you decide, so, okay, I'm going to cheat. You're going to give your life to the Lord, and you're kind of dragging me on earth if I want to. Like, how do you handle that situation? Because that's a major change.
So the fact is, go ahead, Ramani. Go ahead.
To be clear, Adrian, I'm just trying to find out if you mean that you're both unbelievers, let's say, or you're not Christians. Is that it? Are you seeing it on the premise of Christianity?
Not Christians.
Or just
we got engaged, got married. Otherwise, I'm a great husband and great father. But somewhere along the line, you're saying, okay, I want to give myself to the Lord, and that's fine. And I supported your decision wholeheartedly. But you got like very serious into the church, like you're coming home late from Bible study and all that, and it's kind of weighing on the marriage. That's a change that you're forcing me to adjust to. Like, I'm just putting the shoe on the other foot. You understand? So how do you interpret that change?
Jay, do you want to answer that one? That one is kind of tricky, just because I don't believe in imposing on. To get what I'm saying, especially because it's a big change in the relationship. So one person has now decided to have a relationship with God and, change up the way they do things, and they think that it's only fit for the other person to do it. But there's a right and a wrong way to do things, really. The same way you can't just go and impose your religion on other persons if you're trying to witness or to evangelize. You have to. It's kind of the same approach, but it's different too in the relationship, because this is somebody that you have committed your life to, and you don't really want to be saying no, pass in your place instead of, oh, because I'm a Christian, you may have to come and do this no, because we have to be on the same level, and this is something good, and this is what I wanted to do now because I'm a Christian. I just don't think that's the right approach. Probably you can try to slowly introduce the person to what you are experiencing. Tell them what you have been seeing since you have become a Christian, and asking them if that's something that they want to do. They try to invite them to church or whatever, or to some activity that happens at church. Slowly try to sensitize them and bring them into it, but don't impose upon the other person. That's just what I think.
That's true.
So we're saying that, all right, so have a conversation with the partner that you have, and then I want to know is, should the other person be submissive to the change? Because, all right, I'm not even gonna. Adrian had used the whole thing about Christianity or not being a Christian, but in any other religion, in any other religious belief, or in any other thing that may happen. It may be the thing of food.
That word.
It may be the art.
It's not going to.
I get where Adrian is. I mean, you can introduce people to, but if it is that they decide that they don't want to, then it may create a problem.
Really because drastic change.
Yes,
and that's what I'm just thinking about it, and I'm saying it is a drastic change because, as Adrian said, the other person may still be wanting to go party, may still be wanting to do whatever it is. His wife or the husband don't want to go anymore because now they're Christians. The wife may be going to church every minute, doing whatever. The husband don't want to go because he's not a Christian. There becomes a strain now in that marriage.
Yeah.
There becomes a strain in the relationship. Who is the one that is going to be submissive to? Because if it is that, somebody is not, what is the word? Somebody is not being cooperative, or somebody is not trying to be supportive or whatever, we're going to have problems. But then, should a Christian know, should we say, okay, I'm your wife, should I know, follow you and go to the party that you're going to, and the husband is, but I don't want to go to church. It may cause problem with the kids.
These things aren't mutually exclusive, though. You get me? Because you can have them both. Like, he can go, he can go with you to church, and you can go with him to a party. Because at the end of the day, what's
They're not going to want to go to no party. Let us just get it right.
Huh?
Most of them don't want to go to no party, and we're not going to make you go party by yourself. Go look for no girl. So we have a look at things realistically. It even can go in terms of diet changing. So because now you decide that you want to be vegetarian, I want to be vegetarian. No.
The thing is, and I don't. The way how you're looking at submission, Jade, it's kind of different for me because submission don't mean necessarily dropping your beliefs or just giving up what you believe in entirely to follow the other person. That's not submission. In this case, though, in terms of religion and practices and trying to support the other person, even if there's some discrepancy as it relates to your belief or disbelief, I think that sometimes there's something called agreeing to disagree. And it may be destructive or it may work. Destructive in the sense that because you're agreeing to disagree and she's saying, okay, well, I'll keep up with my church practices, and he's saying, I don't have no interest in your church practices. I'll keep up with my practicing and my all of those things that goes with that side of life. And she's saying, well, I'm not going to be there. So because you're not doing that, you realize that the relationship, there's a rift in the relationship, and a distance is being created. And because of that, a lot of things start to break down in the relationship. So your communication is less, or your communication may be tense, and there's always an elephant in the room because you feel like you can't talk to that person because certain things are going to come up and you're trying to avoid it. So that's something that may happen with agreeing to disagree, as well as you could, agree to disagree and respect the other person, but you compromise. And that's something that persons have to practice in a relationship. It's very, very fundamental in relationships. So, okay, I am not a Christian and my wife is, and she enjoys church and whatever, and I love her, so I will support her, and if she invites me to church, I will go with her because I love her, and that's something that I want to do, to see what she's experiencing. In the same way, the wife may say, okay, all right, so I'm a Christian and thing, but I will go with you to a social event just to be there with you because I'm your partner and you may enjoy it better with me, that kind of thing. So it's not black or white here, but those are the possibilities that I'm seeing.
I mean, in a perfect world, that's how it should go, but we all know it probably will go.
Right, exactly. Right, that's what I was saying. That the first thing that I said was that there could be a rift and distance created. It could ultimately lead to separation in the relationship or a divorce.
Exactly. That is
if you're going, I don't want you to go. I don't want it to go just solely because of me. Because at that point, when you go and we're there, you're just going to complain the entire time. Like, why am I here and this is not good and blah, blah, blah. It's vice versa with the man.
Well, it depends because not everybody is going to complain. Some persons actually want to do it, even though it's not their thing. Just like any other thing outside of religion, like hobbies and stuff. So let's say, for example, my partner loves football. I'm not a football fan, but football is his thing. So when football match come around like FIFA and those big leagues, all right, he's going to watch it at a sports bar or whatever, right? And he's all right, I'll come with you because it's what's 11 and I just want to be a part of what you're a part of, just to see what it is, and I'm supporting you.
True.
Right? So it's not something that is exclusive to say, because it's not everybody that is going to create hell trying to support in what you're doing. And I mean, if something is important to your partner, ultimately it should be important to you, right? Because you're now both one. So, I mean, as I said, it's not black and white, but yeah.
Yeah. You're right. I like to support 50 Shades of Grey.
I like the should be. I like the should be. When I started, how I did is because normally you don't see these things happening in terms of if it is that somebody disagrees on something. And as I spoke about in terms of dieting, I've heard couples say, oh, no, you can't eat this. You're not eating this here. You can't, whatever it is. I changed my diet. Your diet has to change too. Especially if it is the woman that cooks. Yeah, man.
No,
if it is,
yeah.
especially if it's the woman that cooks. If the woman cooks, she go and cook what she eating and what she has changed her diet to, and everybody has to submit to it or conform to that because they, but you know, so even if a man don't eat like that.
No, I've had a friend tell me that she's a vegetarian, so that pretty much makes me a vegetarian. That's his exact words.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I use the word. You basically have to submit in that way. Submit to it like that. I've been in a situation where I eat something and my husband don't eat it, and I had to cook for me differently from him. Not everybody gonna do that. Who have time for sitting and go cook two different things all the time? So something is gonna suffer. Somebody is gonna suffer, and generally it is the person who probably has changed that is going to have the upper hand in things than the person who has not changed. It generally goes like that more time.
That's why communication is key, and that's why gradual change is also key. You have to accept that this person is not going to quit cold turkey and adjust to your lifestyle overnight. You have to be patient with the person.
For adjusting. All right. So we're gonna go on a quick break, and then we're gonna come right back after this.
Shopping Assistance Jamaica takes the stress away from finding those items you can't locate or purchasing items online or locally. From searching to purchasing to delivery, Shopping Assistance makes it very easy. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or email us at shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at The Shopping Assistance, on Instagram at The Shopping Assistance JA, and on Twitter at Shopping Assist 5.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. We're speaking at Ramane and Adriana. We're speaking about changing for our spouse. Should we really change for our spouse? We're speaking about the definite absolute nots. What we're not changing at all for the spouse. Now we're going to talk about perception versus reality, where change is concerned. What it is that in reality really should be changed and what should not. All right, so I have heard a situation where something as simple as children piercing their ears or not piercing their ears being a big issue in a marriage, right? Or in a relationship. Because, you talk about it before in that courtship stage. All right, when we have kids, I'm going to pierce my ears, I'm going to pierce my children's ears or not. After you get married, no, you can't do that. No, I just thought you were just talking or not. I've heard the entire thing of, no, we don't want kids. And after marriage, want kids. So the perception of what it should be like versus the reality of what it actually is in terms of the perception and how we're going to change and what really we should change and what shouldn't be changed.
That kind of reminds me of the religion thing in a sort of way, except that this is not something where you both made an agreement before and then one person is basically chickening out on the deal. It's like signing a contract and then the other person just go and, forfeit the contract. True. It's a messy situation because, that's something that you agree on, and I'm trying to think about how do you navigate your way through a situation like that, because it can be good or it can be really bad.
That's why all of these conversations have to be revisited before marriage.
Yeah, and that is why premarital counseling is also important. But sometimes people really do make drastic changes in marriage like what Jay just said about the saying, okay, I don't want my child to have any piercing, and then when you have children, you have a girl, and the mother decide that she want the little girl to get a piercing, or anything else, or like even having the kids. How do you work through that? That is tricky. I mean, do you go to counseling? Do you get a mediator in that? Do you revisit the discussion? I think revisiting the discussion is a good thing, because what you're basically trying to do is show the person your point of view, and also listening to and accommodating the other person's point of view in a respectable way. And if it is that you don't agree, you should be open to revisiting the idea further down in the relationship.
True. That's true. But that's just it though. Like,
yeah.
You brought up premarital counseling, which is an excellent idea for anybody that's getting married, right? Because the mediator, the counselor, asks questions that you probably wouldn't ask your fiance at all. So it's best you lay all your cards on the table during premarital counseling. With that being said, what if something changes after you've been through all the counseling, everything checked out, and then the person says, "Oh, well, I don't feel like I want to have kids anymore," or because with new information comes new like challenges, new worldviews, right? What if you find out that your family has a history of mental illness, and you get like a genuine fear that your child might come out having some type of mental illness? Like, these things happen, right? So it's more the onus on the spouse to be understanding, and they can go back to counseling again and work through that problem, rather than just say, okay, it's a hard no and we're not dealing with it anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I agree, but I'm not sure if I see it working. I don't know. I don't know if I still see that marriage working. I mean, there may be scenarios where it does, but if it is that this discussion was there, you have your mind set on it. Just imagine, Ramani, or Adrian, you have your mind set on having a child. You get married. The reality is here now, and you can't have that child anymore. Come on, you're gonna either start looking for a child somewhere, some reason, because what it is that's gonna be said, there's a 50-50 chance if that child gets the mental illness or not. You'll never know.
That's
so
true.
You're gonna live your life continuing wondering, if I had a child, would that child have gotten it, or would the child not get it?
Yeah, but there might be a situation like, okay, you wanted to have a child, but what if the person was infertile? Like, it would be the same scenario.
I was supposed to say that. We're supposed to say the same
on it, but
adopt.
Yes. No, but that's just it though.
Yeah, man, you'll adapt.
Alternatives.
Because I mean, relationships have split because of this, because of infertility of one party, right? But I mean, when you go into the marriage, you weren't going into the marriage solely on the basis that you want to have kids together. There are other things that you went to the relationship. Firstly, is accepting the person for who they are and loving that person, choosing to love that person, and saying that you want to spend the rest of your life with them, regardless of whatever situation or challenges that is going to come in the relationship.
Whoa.
And making a decision.
Yes. There are some points.
There are certain things that are no-nos, as we already established in the beginning. But when we made those vows to say for better or for worse, for sickness and in health, those traditional vows that people use in the wedding, right? This is verbal contract, right? Something that you're establishing before yourself, God, and man. All right. So my wife is infertile. There's nothing you can do about it. You try IVF, you try IUI, you try everything else. You can't afford a surrogate, right? And there's no option. The only thing that is left now is you either explore adopting kids, or you decide that you're just going to move forward with the reality of not being able to have kids And then this is when you should decide that counseling is going to be essential because of the trauma that has now caused in the relationship. So while change is tricky and it can be traumatic too, what is important is how you decide to go forward with what you have and the decision that you make to move forward. I think that is what
That's true.
Actually boils down to.
But I think relationships are all right. This is my worldview on relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're made on pillars. You know, like you have pillars and beams that support buildings. To me, relationships are made on pillars. Your pillars can be whatever you want it to be, but that's it. But if one pillar breaks, then the foundation becomes weak. And if another one breaks, then the whole building might topple down. And that's when the relationship ends. That's just how I view relationships.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a part of that pillar, then it's going to be a problem.
Mm.
That
sounds like the foundation of everything, though, because I mean, the foundation is your foundation of your relationship on the premise that you cannot have kids, or you don't want to have kids. Is that a part of the foundation of the relationship?
I know people that's definitely their foundation because they had a very bad childhood and they want to like correct that wrong and they want their chance to be the better father. And then he wants that even before her. He really wanted that. And then if she had come and said, "Oh, I'm infertile," it's going to be a problem. I'm not saying it's going to end the relationship because he can be a father to somebody else, can adapt. But what I'm saying is that it's not going to be the same. Like the kid, like if you do adapt, right, you love that child regardless. But it's a part of you is still not going to. A part of you will always know that child isn't truly yours. You understand? So it's kind of it's gonna, but not necessarily be the deal breaker in the relationship.
For persons, their perception of something, of how it's gonna be, how it's gonna look, this nice thing always don't happen like that. So even in the situation of having a child or not having a child, we perceive that getting married. People always say when we get married, we're gonna have children and we're gonna go on vacations and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. But reality is COVID, like nobody can go nowhere. The reality is a lot of people can't have any kids. The reality is that some people are just gonna get fat. The reality is some people are going to change jobs. The reality is not everything is gonna be perfect.
True. The thing is, what I realize is people base their futures too much on an ideal situation and not a real situation. They're too idealistic.
Yeah, if I may, when you look at perception versus reality in terms of relationship, for me, perception, there's a saying that goes, stick to the evil that you know. And this demonstrates that the perception of change is that change is impossible. People are usually reluctant to make changes because they're afraid of letting go of what they're accustomed to and venturing into the unknown, which leaves them feeling uncomfortable. And that's why it's so hard for persons to make changes sometimes in the relationship. And the reality of change is that it's uncomfortable and a tough journey. And it has various processes and steps. And the reality of change usually hits you in the face when you're in the midst of the situation. But the truth is that in reality, we are evolving beings, which means that we're always changing. And it is very important. It's a very important part of life in order to be molded positively and to move forward in life and to move forward in your relationship.
True. The nature of my job is change, to be honest with you.
Same here.
I have to move every 3 years. So where I live right now, 3 years from now, 2 more years from now, I'm going to move again to a total different place, right? I can get deployed for 9 months at a time. So I discussed this with my spouse. Listen, is this something you can handle? And she said, yeah, she can handle this. But when I pack my bags and leave for 9 months, it might be a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
Frame of mind, she said, "Oh yeah, she can do it," and she already planned it and all of this. But it's just what it is. She knows that this is the career that I'm in, and we were together before, so the decision was made, and this is what it was. So, but it gets hard. To be honest with you, it does get hard. She had to suffer through her entire pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same here for me. I work at a university, and there are certain policies that you have to go by. Every day I deal with students on a very personal level for most parts of the day, for the most part of the day. And you have different policies that they're guided by in the handbook. I mean, and then somebody comes to you with a unusual case, then you're now forced to deviate from the rules that are there. So, I mean, change is everywhere. You just have to make a change because of the situation.
Understood. But Adrian, question: how is that working for you? Because yes, you said this is your job and this is what you do, and you told your spouse, okay, I can believe in for how much months or whatever it is. When it actually happened, and your spouse had to go through pregnancy by yourself, she had to do whatever it is. How did it affect you? Because yes, you know that this is what you have to do, but did it affect you in any way?
Yeah, it did, because it's my first child, right? So I would have loved to be there to see like the entire change and everything that was going on, but the reality of the situation is I couldn't. I had to, first things first, I had to find out she was pregnant in a letter because I was at training, right? And it is heavily on me, for mainly because I like to help, and I could not help. I mean, I was helping in other like facets, but the help that I wanted to render, I could not do it, because I would have loved to be there to rub her tummy. I'd love to be in the delivery room, but I couldn't. Right?
Wow.
And imagine what she went through. Like I went to see her the other day, and it was a big change for me, because I had to adjust, I had to take care of my son, I had to do all of that. But it's a change I welcomed, right? So, but the reality of the situation is, I will probably be seeing my family in snapshots, right? So it's gonna be like a couple of months there, then I probably have to go to the field. Then a year or two here, then I probably have to deploy. That's what. Yeah, and they kind of, we have classes on it. But I say, listen, when you are reintroduced back to your family, don't think you're going to go back and everything is going to be the same. There's going to be changes, because at the end of the day, throughout that entire time that you were absent, she was the disciplinarian and everything. So you're going to have to adjust to her way of doing things.
Yes,
and
yes.
They do their best to prepare you for it, but the reality of the situation is, until you're actually there, no preparation can prepare you.
Yeah, that's true.
That is rough. That is rough. But I salute you and applaud you for it and what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other question is, who changes more often in the relationship, men or women?
Women for sure.
Definitely women.
Women change more, but men adjust easier.
You think so? You think men easier?
I think
so my husband is here, so very excited and happy that you mentioned that, because I told him nothing don't go like that.
The fact that him realize some mistake, he must know. We adjust easier. Because, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Look in your husband's closet and look in your closet, and you really see who changed more.
That's not a fair analogy at all. No.
A man has a wallet for years, and you guys have a handbag for every day.
No, but that's different. That's different.
Find something in.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, for me, I personally believe that it depends on the dynamics of the relationship. women change more in the relationship, and there are certain things that factor into that. So, when you meet a woman, all right, you're dating her and whatever, she's that kind of person that then she becomes a wife, and certain things about her start to change, right? And there are certain changes that she has to make because she's a wife. And there are certain changes that the husband has to make, but the wife is expected to make more changes. And then she becomes a mother, and she's now a mother and a wife, and she's giving herself to you, and she's giving herself to the child, and she's giving herself to the family and friends, right? So she's making all these changes. When you look at that, the man doesn't really change much of his life. He may be expected to step up in terms of breadwinning, right? Providing for the family. But what else does he really do? The mother provides most of the nurturing in the relationship. That is kind of typical.
Tell the truth. No, man, I preach. We have to take the
right? So the woman makes a lot of changes, and her body changes, and she has to deal with that change after becoming a mother, right? The man can choose to adjust or not adjust, or he can start tell her she's unattractive and she needs to work out. But you see, if the man is so keen on having her body changed, then he probably needs to pay for a mommy makeover.
Fine. That's perfectly fine. But that's
Go ahead.
The woman changes more.
Go ahead.
That's just what you change more, but we adjust better to change than women.
I don't think so. I think you can put a woman in any situation and she can adjust to it.
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
No.
And the mere fact
you don't think so?
Changes more means that the woman makes the adjustments better. She adjusts better because a woman, let me tell you something. When a woman says she now does something, it's not going to be done.
Exactly.
No.
Right?
A man will always compromise for a woman.
Yes, but I'm saying that the fact that the woman decides to make so many.
All right, let me get a joke. Let me get a joke. I absolutely, positively hate washing pots. Me wash a million dishes. I do not like washing pots. Until I wanted me to wash the pot. And we had that compromise. So it's not something we really want to know, but still. But that's what I'm saying. We will adjust more because it's a man. You don't think a man coined this term happy wife, happy life? You don't think some type of adjustment has to be going on the man's part?
Yeah, but how much change when you think about that term? I mean, I don't agree with it because a relationship is both ways, right? So you want to be treated as a queen, you must treat a man like a king. It's a mutual.
Thank you.
It's a mutual. Yes. I don't subscribe to that. However,
I don't subscribe to it either.
So if you're going to use that term though, on what basis, what kind of changes the man is making, so much so that they have to say happy wife, happy life, or happy wife, happy marriage.
It's not change, it's just us adjusting.
Yeah.
But I mean, you adjust what? You're not arguing?
Are you adjusting?
No, it's just okay. A man will most likely not care what color the curtains are. Agreed? But if she wants to change it, they will say, all right, fine, change it. It's just things like that, like small things like that, that if you never, how much times ever your man say, all right, we're going to change the curtain to whatever color it may be.
Yeah, but that's still not a fair explanation. And you know why? It's not a fair explanation because the man doesn't care about the curtain. If it's something that you both care about, no, then that's where the true test comes in. Because a man is indifferent towards the color of the curtains, he's going to adjust naturally. Yeah. And really, when you think about it, there's no adjustment being made because he didn't care about the color of the curtains to begin with. So that's not a fair. Sure. That's not a fair.
Okay. Give me something what a man will adjust to. I will adjust to almost everything, to be honest with you.
No, you don't.
But men don't care about things. Men don't care about a lot of things, and that is probably why you think it's much easier for men to adjust because they just go with the flow. And you see, it's easier said than done, because you can just go with the flow because you don't care about it. But if you both care about it, right, and it comes down to making a change, then see how easy it is to make the change, because you're already invested in something. I know you're here to have to make a change. See how easy it is to adjust to whatever change you're going to make.
But we still do, because the nature of a relationship is compromise. The whole nature of it is compromise. Like we compromise, but who compromises more in a relationship? Do you think?
The woman does. What are you talking about? The woman does. That is not even a question.
Question, exactly.
What are you asking?
I don't know.
Look here. I don't even like this because I am one man right here, so are you on the phone trying to do this thing for men? Listen, woman compromise. That is, listen. I was saying today, because I saw a clip of a 90-something-year-old man. I think I put it on my status. A 90-something-year-old man divorced I think he was 92, and he divorced his 90-year-old wife because he found out that in 1940 she cheated or something like that. Brother. And I was saying, what I was saying is, that is foolishness. You know why? Because if it is the woman that had found out that he was cheating at this point in her life, when she's almost ready to say glory,
because you kind of expected. Let's not go there.
I like that. You know why? Compromising is expected, that the woman is supposed to compromise. But for the man, so when I mention it, my husband is no, because she disrespect him.
Women and men view cheating differently.
I think that is so much.
But at the end of the day, cheating is cheating. Right?
Because it depends on who you cheat with. That's the next thing. Because supposing cheat with him, brother. That kind of unforgivable. Not that funny.
Yeah, but the funniest thing about that is that it's unforgivable, but you may still end up talking to your brother and divorce the person that you were with. Now, who are you making the greater sacrifice for?
No, some people lock up them brother. Some people have cut them family members off because I cheated.
Yeah, that's
I've seen that shit personally. Some people cut them family members off because them cheat with a family member. I've seen that.
That's so true. Jade, you know what I was thinking? When you look at the relationships, a history of relationship overall, who has given up their dream to accommodate the other person's dream?
Woman.
No, woman.
Who usually give up their dream? Now the wives always give up their dream to make the husband do what he needs to do.
Always. And that is why you have a lot of women now. That's why you have a lot of women now who don't want to get married or don't want to be in some committed relationships, because they know they're going to have to give up something important. Look here, yeah, man. Suppose it is that age, and suppose your spouse had said to you, no,
come out of the army or whatever. How easy would it be?
Come out of the army. I want to go do something. Would you come out? You still me talk about?
No.
Alright, so we know you're banded to whatever for a certain amount of time.
Use a different example. If it was a job.
All right, so if it was a regular job then, and she said to you, I don't want you to do that anymore. Come out of it. All right, hold on. I don't even want to use that. What I want to ask you. All right, Adrian, you're very active on social media. Very active.
Okay.
Yes, so if it is that she said to you, listen, I don't want you to be commenting on so many pictures or whatever it is, you're gonna stop?
Yeah.
All right.
Give you a funny story that has happened before.
Okay.
Not my present spouse, but the one before. Like there was an issue with me having specific people commenting under my pictures. This is how I view it, right? You have to weigh, is this thing worth my relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
Ask yourself that, is it worth it? And if the answer is no, then the decision will be easier.
Okay.
And it was like it was all right, fine. She didn't like certain girls calling me after a specific time, and we went back and forth with it, and then we said, all right, fine. After a certain time, phone put down somewhere, and it's not going to,
Okay.
you know. But
Right.
yeah, it's not that serious. Like, okay, fine. I know my relationship with this person. She has insecurities of it, and it's I can't look at her and tell her how to feel about a situation. If she feels it, then she feel it. It's all right. It's my job to appease her in that situation. It's not going to happen all the time, but at that point,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the argument. So yeah, because those things chip away at relationships. It's not going to be a major thing that is a catastrophe that the relationship is going to be, but it's going to chip away, and it will come up in every single argument. Remember this, blood. So I just say, you know what? Sleep it out.
Manila.
Oh my god. I can never understand how females that. No, I absolutely hate it. I think once I put something to rest, it is resting. That is it.
No, it never is rested. It's in the back of your mind, bumbling around.
Well, that means that you didn't resolve the situation. And for me, I'm this kind of person. I like to resolve things. That's how I move forward. And if it comes back up, it's highly likely it was never resolved. Because ignoring something doesn't make it go away. Ignoring something doesn't solve an issue. You have to deal with it. So if somebody keeps bringing up something, it means that whatever resolution there was to be made was not made. But I can never understand that because it basically defeats the whole purpose of moving forward. It's just a waste of time and it achieves absolutely nothing.
Yeah, true.
I agree. But I'm still gonna stand on the fact that women, they make more sacrifices. They are the ones that give up more. They're the ones that change more for the relationship. I'm still gonna stand by that.
No. I wasn't disputing that. I was disputing who adjusts to change.
Better. Well, I think the women adjust better too. No. I think the women are just better. Listen, I was in a relationship and I had to migrate. And trust me, my spouse wouldn't go to Jamaica and adjust better. He wouldn't. Okay? I know. That for me, I had to make the adjustments because this brother would not have made it down there and adjust well down there at all. I know that for a fact. And there are so many. You know what? No. Him telling me I must make you talk. I am not gonna make you talk because he wants somebody else to be on his side where it is concerned. I'm not doing it.
Nah. All right. This is why. Right? You're probably coming. I'm just gonna say it. You're probably coming to this from like a myopic point of view, right? So you think you adjust better, but at the end of the day, I've had conversations with friends, and I've seen how men adjust. But the thing is, we don't put it like out there like that. We don't do it overtly. Like a woman will always someone say, "Look how much things I did for you," and a man will probably never. But he adjusts. He makes sacrifices behind the scenes, but you probably will never know because men aren't like that. We don't boast on sacrifices that we make.
You know what? Still
I was about to say that I have a close friend. She was in Manchester and her partner is here in Kingston, and they established a relationship. They met through her at her workplace. She was working at a bank there. And he met her there and established a relationship there. And they have been together for about 2 years now. And they wanted to cement the relationship and move forward. And that would mean that somebody had to move. And he didn't want to move. He didn't see how moving would work for him. And she packed up her stuff and moved to Kingston. So she applied for a job. She got it. and she packed up her stuff and moved to Kingston because she is adjusting better to what is around than she
Yeah,
could adjust to what is
no,
in Manchester.
no.
He
Who
could
made
not
that?
adjust to the. He
Who made?
admitted. He admitted
Them can't
that he
adjust.
could not have adjusted to the changes in Manchester.
Yes,
And
but who makes more financially?
who makes more financially?
Yeah.
She's in a senior position in the institution that she's working. I don't know what their salary range is like.
Because the finances is what's gonna make that decision very easy.
Well, she's making a good salary. I don't know what his is like, but she has a senior position at Scotia. And yeah.
The reason why
You know,
is what I said
you know
earlier.
what I was told? I was told that, listen, my life is already here, and I cannot just take up everything, and I can't just leave everything because I've been working in this place. I'm a senior there. I have so and so more years, and whatever it is. So me did I look on it and say, so me not have no life down there. Me don't go nowhere, no. But in the end, I still had to pack up my thing and leave so that the other person
There's an external.
life, I had to leave and go to because obviously the life I was having wasn't better, so I had to make that adjustment. Obviously,
That's what I'm
because
saying.
it's always the woman that have to get up.
No, you know why? No. I'm going to say something that's very controversial, but you know why most times it's the woman that has to adjust to the change in that aspect? Because a man makes more, and whoever makes more money, it's kind of easier for that adjustment to happen. Because if I'm making $100,000 a year, right, and you're making half that, and you ask, we need to cement this relationship in one location, it's gonna be immensely harder for the adjustment to happen on my part going to you because you make less. Because you have to factor in. I'm going to move there, and for a specific period of time, I will have no job, no way to support you, and all of that. You get me?
What if? Let me interject. What if you got a transfer from where you are to where she is in the same position, and you're getting the same pay, or you're getting more? Would you move?
I would.
Really?
Because I really don't think your salary should be the basis on deciding whether or not you're moving. It should be a lot more than that. But I'm just saying, I'm happy you put that out as something because it's reasonable to say, okay, all right, let's compare the salaries and see who's making more, and it would make more sense for whomever to move. But that is not always the case. In some relationships, you have women making more than the men, and they still make the adjustment. They move from where they are to go to them. And I've seen it.
Yeah, that's at that point. It's not only a compromise; it's a sacrifice. That's what it is, because she's probably not going to make the same amount that she makes there. Because at the end of the day, a relationship is not only feelings, it's also finances and economics. Because if you rely solely on feelings can't go to the supermarket, go fill your pantry every week. There has to be that aspect where say, all right, common sense has to prevail. Say, all right, listen, this is what it is. If I come here, I'm going to make this amount of money, and will you? Because let's be frank here, women leave men for financial reasons.
Lord of mercy.
That is true, but that also speaks about what they went into the relationship for. They had an ulterior motive.
Yeah, well, speaking of ulterior motives, you know who Stephen Jackson is?
No, but enlighten me.
Stephen Jackson is a basketball player. He was courting his fiancée for years, right? And he said right out from the courtship days to the girlfriend days, he said, I need a prenup. And she said she agreed to the prenup. The wedding day, she didn't sign the prenup. And he left her at the altar. $400,000 wedding. Leave her. Because it's the same thing. Like she had an ulterior motive in that relationship.
Yeah, right? She's going after the money.
I will say sheep's clothing for years. But he had to make a change, and he changed her. So
You don't know if you change her or not. It was to sign up for Maria because she probably still looking for somebody who have money to go and deal with.
yeah, but the thing is, usually people show them colors quicker. You
Yeah,
get me?
yeah. When money is involved, yeah, you see people true colors, especially when the money is removed from the situation.
Mhm. And the
Always.
only thing that changed everything was that prenup, which they discussed prior to going into a relationship.
But that's what we're going back to the beginning to talk about. You talk about things prior to, but then when it's supposed to happen and the reality hits, the changes that are there, you know. So as you know, as it was said earlier, even in courtship, you talk about things, you do whatever. After marriage or when it's supposed to marry, things people change their mind or people's true color show up and everything. Then what do? You have to make a decision as to either go forward or to step back and evaluate this decision and evaluate if it is that you want to move on from there. But guess what? Our time has gone with Ramani and Adrian. I want to thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. Definitely, I want to have a conversation with both of you on cheating, you know, because that one had spurred a lot. I definitely want to have that conversation with both of you on cheating and how a woman sees cheating differently from how a man sees cheating. That topic's supposed to be very interesting. But we're gonna definitely be here again next week, Tuesday. And thank you everybody for listening in and commenting and liking. It's appreciated. So yeah, big up on yourself, and we'll definitely be back again next week, Tuesday, on The Unfiltered by Jade.